Once upon a time, many years ago, when our grandfathers were little children, there was a doctor, and his name was Dolittle. John Dolittle, M.D. M.D. means that he was a proper doctor and knew a whole lot. He lived in a little town called Puddleby-on-the-Marsh. All the folks, young and old, knew him well by sight. The dogs and the children would all run up and follow behind him, and even the crows that lived in the church tower would caw and nod their heads. The house he lived in, on the edge of the town, was quite small, but his garden was very large and had a wide lawn and stone seats and weeping willows hanging over. His sister, Sarah Dolittle, was housekeeper for him. He was very fond of animals and kept many kinds of pets. Besides the goldfish in the pond at the bottom of his garden, he had rabbits in the pantry, white mice in his piano, a squirrel in the linen closet, and a hedgehog in the cellar. He had a cow with a calf too, and an old lame horse, 25 years of age, and chickens, and pigeons, and 2 lambs, and many other animals. But his favorite pets were Dab-Dab the duck, Jip the dog, Gub-Gub the baby pig, Polynesia the parrot, and the owl Tutu. His sister used to grumble about all these animals and said they made the house untidy. And one day, when an old lady with rheumatism came to see the doctor, she sat on the hedgehog, who was sleeping on the sofa, and never came to see him any more, but drove every Saturday all the way to Oxenthorpe, another town 10 miles off, to see a different doctor. Then his sister, Sarah Dolittle, came to him and said,
"John, how can you expect sick people to come and see you when you keep all these animals in the house? If you go on like this, none of the best people will have you for a doctor."
"But I like the animals better than the best people," said the doctor.
"You are ridiculous,"
said his sister, and walked out of the room. So, as time went on, the doctor got more and more animals, and the people who came to see him got less and less, till at last he had no one left, except the cat's meat man, who didn't mind any kind of animals. And now, when he walked down the street in his high hat, people would say to one another,
"There goes John Dolittle, M.D. There was a time when he was the best-known doctor in the West Country. Look at him now. He hasn't any money and his stockings are full of holes."
But the dogs and the cats and the children still ran up and followed him through the town, the same as they had done when he was rich. One day the doctor was sitting in his kitchen, talking with the cat's mean man, who had come to see him with a stomachache.
"Why don't you give up being a people's doctor and be an animal doctor?"
asked the cat's meat man. The parrot, Polynesia, was sitting in the window, looking out at the rain. She started to listen.
"You see, doctor,"
the cat's meat man went on,
"you know all about animals, much more than these vets do. That book you wrote about cats, why, it's wonderful. You might have been a cat yourself. You know the way they think. And listen, you can make a lot of money doctoring animals. Do you know that? You see, I'd send all the old women who had sick cats and dogs to you. And look, all the farmers round about who had lame horses and weak lambs, they'd come. Be an animal doctor."
When the cat's meat man had gone, the parrot flew off the window onto the doctor's table and said,
"That man's got sense. That's what you ought to do. Be an animal doctor."
"Oh, there are plenty of animal doctors," said John Dolittle.
"Yes, there are plenty,"
said Polynesia.
"but none of them are any good at all. Now listen, doctor, and I'll tell you something. Did you know that animals can talk?"
"I knew that parrots can talk," said the doctor.
"Oh, we parrots can talk in 2 languages, people's language and bird language,"
said Polynesia proudly.
"If I say, 'Polly wants a cracker,' you understand me. But hear this, Cowie?
Good gracious, cried the doctor. What does that mean?
That means, is the porridge hot yet? In bird language.
My, you don't say so, said the doctor. You never talked that way to me before.
What would have been the good?
Said Polynesia, dusting some cracker crumbs off her left wing.
You wouldn't have understood me if I had.
Tell me some more, said the doctor, all excited. And he rushed over to the dresser drawer and came back with the butcher's book and a pencil. Now, don't go too fast, and I'll write it down. This is interesting, very interesting, something quite new. Give me the bird's ABC first, slowly now. So that was the way the doctor came to know that animals had a language of their own and could talk to one another. And all that afternoon, while it was raining, Polynesia sat on the kitchen table giving him bird words to put down in the book.